As future teachers, it is essential for us to adapt to the ever-changing education curriculum. One such change that has and continues to present challenges to both teachers and administrators has been the rise of English language learners or limited English proficiency students. Why should educators and administrators care so much? Or more importantly, us. Why should we care so much about English language learners? Facts. That's why. The authors of our EdPsych textbook state that currently 14% of students in schools throughout the United States are of limited English proficiency. 14%, that's not a lot. But take this into effect. The United States Department of Education has already concluded that English language learners are the fastest growing major student population in America. Pennsylvania tallied their numbers in 2012, and according to the PA Department of Education, the Keystone State consists of 42,542 limited English proficiency students who speak 175 different languages. These numbers are expected to increase, and that's why we, as future educators, need to become familiar with the rising English language learner demographic.
There are 4 different titles a student can be classified. They can be classified as ESL, English as a Second Language, ESOL, English for Speakers of Other Language, ELL, English Language Learners, or LEP, Limited English Proficiency.
According to state regulations, every school district shall provide a program for each student whose dominant language is not English for the purpose of facilitating the student's achievement of English proficiency and the academic standards under 22 PA Code 412. The No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 states that students must be 100% proficient in reading and math by 2014.
One of the most important things to understand when working with English language learners is their level of language acquisition. Language acquisition is the amount of words and sentences the learner can comprehend, vocalize, and read in order to communicate. There are 5 stages of language acquisition: pre-production, early production, speech emergence, intermediate fluency, and advanced fluency. In the pre-production level, students have minimal comprehension of the language and do not verbalize. Students can usually nod yes or no and point to objects they recognize. In the early production stage, students have limited comprehension and can produce 1- and 2-word sentences. Students in the early production stage primarily use present tense verbs. Teachers should ask students in this stage yes and no questions, either/or questions, and 1 to 2 answer questions. In the speech emergence stage, students have good comprehension and can produce simple sentences. They usually make grammatical errors and frequently misunderstand jokes and sarcasm. As a teacher, you could ask students in this stage to explain why or how something is, or to begin paraphrasing. In the intermediate fluency stage, students have excellent comprehension and make few grammatical errors. In this stage, teachers can ask questions regarding what happened next and what their opinion is. The last stage, advanced fluency, is when students have a near native level of speech. This usually happens after 5 to 7 years. In this stage, students can decide and retell events. 5 challenges commonly faced by teachers are culture shock, curriculum, assessment, budget, and parent outreach.
One key challenge faced by teachers and English language learners is culture shock. Culture shock is the disorientation that students or even teachers face when they encounter cultures that are radically different from their own. Culture shock may potentially promote behavioral stressors in both the teacher and the English language learner. These behavioral stressors could severely impact the English language learner academically and socially among his peers. Teachers, Adhering to an ELL's culture and language barrier may unintentionally exercise academic marginalization. Academic marginalization is when teachers set unrealistic academic standards for their students, disregarding the students' educational or language skills. Because of academic marginalization, ELLs have difficulty not only understanding teacher instructions, but the entire curriculum as well. Furthermore, ELLs experience trouble interacting with their peers and, as a result, experience negative self-worth and self-esteem. The journal, Intervention in School and Clinic, states these feelings may cause internal and external behavioral problems, ranging from verbal and physical aggression and high anxiety to withdrawal and depression. The stresses of adapting to different cultural norms of American society may also cause ELLs to disengage in peer interaction. They feel they are unable to socially and physically understand their peers. Another problem that continues to exist is that non-LEP students perceive bilingualism as a deficit. Bilingualism should be valued, especially in today's society, and it should also be the responsibility of the teacher to foster peer relationships and instill their students with proper moral values. Another aspect of culture shock is the difference in achievement of low-immigrant schools versus high-immigrant schools. According to the Journal of Educational Policy, schools enrolling few immigrants experience poor academic performance among English language learners. This is due to limited educational resources and experience, as well as lower teacher expectations, which, as we previously discussed, is a concept of academic marginalization. On the other hand, high immigrant concentration schools experience lower rates of failure among ELLs. Well-defined ESL programs in high immigrant schools promote relatedness among the limited English proficiency community, and English language learners even display greater leadership roles among their school population.
The ESL and ESOL programs include either pull-out method or the inclusion method. The pull-out method removes students from mainstream classrooms for a portion of the day in order to give them specialized instruction in English. This is most common in elementary schools where a designated ESL teacher works with a small group of children. The pull-out method removes students from mainstream classrooms for a portion of the day in order to give them specialized instruction in English. This is most common in elementary schools where a designated ESL teacher works with a small group of children. During inclusion, ELLs are integrated with the regular education classroom. They are usually accompanied by a full-time or part-time ESL certified instructor. At times, test accommodations must be made for ELLs. Test administrators must be familiar with accommodations allowed for ELLs. Implementing a teacher who is familiar to ELL students reduces test anxiety and promotes student comfort. Schools must involve the appropriate school personnel in the determination of appropriate accommodations for ELLs. Collaborative process between ESL, bilingual teacher, ESL bilingual education coordinator, other classroom teachers, test administrator or coordinator, principal or counselor of ELL, and or parent of ELL. The President has proposed a plan for 2013 to allow $732 million for English learner education. This money will be able to provide grants for preparation and training of teachers of ELLs, fund evaluation activities, and a clearinghouse for research-based information and data on effective methods, programs, and strategies for ELLs. The No Child Left Behind Act also states that funding may be used to enhance existing ESL bilingual programs. Enhancements may include after-school programs, summer programs, tutorial programs, or additional supports.
Parents play a huge role in a child's life. An English language learner needs their parents to be involved with their social and school life. Teachers have a challenge communicating with parents. The parents may also not be able to speak English. Therefore, a child acts as a translator, or the school would have to provide a translator. There is an outreach program for parents that has a 3-year plan. The first plan is to help parents with parenting. The program will assist families with parenting skills, family support, child understanding, and adolescent development. Communication is a big key. As a parent, you should always ask your child about school and constantly ask the child's teacher about their problems. You can also volunteer in your community. Other families may be going through the same situation as you are. It is crucial that you become active in your community. As a parent, you should have a learning environment at home. Have your child write down their academic goals and hang them up as a reminder.
Siendo en casa, involucrarse con ellos mismos, tener mucho diálogo con ellos, verles sus calificaciones, leer bien sus calificaciones, que nosotros podemos asistir como voluntarios en las clases de nuestros hijos. Tenemos ese derecho para poder ver en qué están fallando nuestros hijos. Sentarse con ellos a hacer las tareas, a dialogar con ellos, ver en qué se les dificulta más y tratar de buscar, comentarle a sus niños, decirles.
So why is it important to learn about the teacher challenges and instructional strategies geared toward English language learners? Well, the U.S. Department of Education estimates that by 2030, ELLs will encompass 40% of the total student population. ELLs are becoming more apparent in the school setting than ever before. It is imperative that every student has an equal opportunity to learn at their maximum capacity. With that being said, teachers, administrators, policymakers, and us, as future educators, must develop and adapt to the education curriculums that adhere to the needs of all students.